Good evening, everybody, and we are coming to you a little bit earlier tonight. I know our countdown said that we had 5 minutes until penguins were arriving, but they have surprised us. They are wild things, and they do what they want. They'll arrive when they want, and we've just had a call that there are penguins on the water's edge, so we have jumped in early to try and show you the very first penguins arriving tonight. Yep, and there they go. They are off. My goodness, look at that. What a surprise. My name's Sky. I'm going to be your host for tonight. We've also got Stephen.
Hello. Remember, if you have any questions for tonight, put them in the comments. I'll do my best to get to them.
Oh, and it's a very early penguin start time tonight. My goodness. I think because it is a dark and stormy night tonight that they have taken the opportunity to hide from the predators and come in a little bit earlier. I reckon they're hedging their bets that there's not predators around in this awful rain and awful wind, so they've come in nice and early. I also think you can see it's an incredibly high tide with huge swells. Stephen was telling me before that it's going to be swells of up to about 3 meters, I think. So these penguins are literally going to be surfing the waves in. Literally surfing like the penguin movie Surf's Up, which you might be familiar with. And we're off and we're racing. We've got our very first penguins on the Penguin Highway as well. What a treat, everybody. And this just goes to show that the penguins can be so unpredictable. It goes to show that, yep, we have our ideas that we would expect that penguins at this time of year might be arriving at about 6:15, about that time. But nope, they've snuck in at 6:06, was it, tonight, Stephen? 6:06. And big numbers, stacks of penguins coming in that first raft. So that's live TV, everybody. This is how it works. What fun, what a bit of an excitement for your Thursday night. Early penguins. So before we go any further, everybody, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which these penguins on the screen are waddling. They are the Borough of the Kulin Nation, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And it's just a steady stream of penguins. Yep, I imagine we might get a lot of penguin waddling tonight. So have a good look at those waddles. If you haven't tuned in before, you need to know about how a penguin does waddle. They've got fused knees. They can't bend their knees, so they rock from side to side, and you can have a little go of that in the comfort of your home. There we go. So have a close look at some of these penguins. See if we can get nice and focused on them. There we are. So, wow, so much excitement already. So if you were here, everybody, you'd already be sitting out in these stands. You'd have the rain sort of raining into your face. It's wild and windy out there, as I said. On a night like tonight, it's probably much nicer to be watching in the comfort of your own home. So we've been very glad to be able to bring the penguins to you. And these ones, they're not preening themselves, but they're not exactly moving either, are they? They're just kind of standing on the rocks. And, yep, now they're starting to jump into this pool here. And this is a rain-made pool. This is not a pool that stays here year-round. This is just something that turns up when the rains come in. And, yep, it's been rainy today, so it's looking nice and full. And it helps these penguins get home. Because, of course, they're much better swimmers than they are on land. They spend 80% of their life in the water and only 20% of their life on land. Now, the great thing about them starting earlier is that we're getting great light in which to watch them, and the cameras work so much nicer in this with a little bit more light. So we're going to get some really good views of the penguins on their way home to the burrows. So these penguins might have been out all day, they might have been out all week, they might have been out all month. Some of these penguins can stay in the water for up to 28 days at a time, which means they're sleeping on the surface of the water. But now for these penguins, oh, and we've got a swamp wallaby as well. Have a look at that. Have a look at that. So the penguins are on their pathway past a little wallaby. He's munching on some grass there. Keep following the penguins, but I'll see if I can come back to the wallaby a little bit later. These ones are on a mission. They are heading home right up the hill, and they might be heading into the Summerland Peninsula, which is where we have a colony of 32,000 little penguins. That's as high as my camera will go. So let's go have a little look back at the at this swamp wallaby, if I can find it. Where are you, swamp wallaby? I might zoom out to have a little look. So we are bringing you the Penguin Parade. We are Phillip Island Nature Parks. We are a conservation organisation, not for profit. And we look after the Penguin Parade. We look after the swamp wallabies. We look after the natural, all the animals and the natural areas on Phillip Island. We look after some of the beaches. We have a koala conservation reserve. And we, as I said, we're a conservation organisation. So we're doing a lot of good to try and keep Phillip Island a haven for wild animals and for native plants and things like this. So if you'd like to contribute to the work that we do, you can head to the description. There's a link to the Penguin Foundation in the description, and if you can donate anything, we really appreciate donations because it helps us continue the work that we're doing, this important conservation work. But enough wallabies, let's go see the main event. Let's head back to these penguins. So there's one just up there, but let's see if we've got any more coming along. So we'll slowly scan back to the water.
We've had some great questions already. Lucas, who is 10 years old, wants to know, how do you penguins tell each other apart?
Oh, and we just had another raft of penguins. They've literally just rushed in. Can you see them in the water there, everybody? Oh, gosh, and they're struggling against the waves there to try and get some of their feet on the rocks. Oh, the poor things.
Well, these little penguins, they use their voices to find each other and to tell each other apart. So when they're out on the ocean, they do what is a hucking sound to gather up into the large groups, and Sky does an absolutely phenomenal huck.
I'm going to do a huck, everybody, but I'm only going to do it on the proviso that Stephen does one as well. So my little huck's like this. That's what I reckon it sounds like. What do you reckon, Stephen?
That's perfect. It sounds like a penguin's in the room with us right now. Now, these penguins, they have to talk to each other to be able to recognize each other, because penguins do not recognize each other by sight. It's only by sound. So if a husband's waiting at home and the wife just comes home, they actually have to talk to each other to introduce each other and make sure that they are, married to each other for the season. But if they are silent, they're going to think the other one's a stranger.
Great questions, and yeah, keep your questions coming in. We will try to get to them, but if we can't get to them and you're interested in little penguins, in fact, I've been hearing stories about this live stream has inspired a lot of interest in penguins. If we don't answer your question, you can find some answers online if you go to the Nature Parks website or even the Penguin Foundation website, where the link is in the description. The link is in the description. We have got information for about penguins there for you. So if we don't get to your question tonight, you can hopefully find it yourself, or you can keep tuning in night after night and hopefully we'll get there for you. But yep, also on that Penguin Foundation link, you can adopt a penguin, and on an awful night like tonight, I wish I could adopt one and take it home with me and keep it nice and safe, but actually no, the penguins wouldn't want that. They prefer to be wild and free. They're not worried about this weather at all. They much prefer to be in the wild. So these guys are heading past that artificial burrow, but I am going to switch cameras to get the close-up of the Penguin Highway, the waddle past. You see the little flippers out. You see them rocking from side to side. And from this close-up view, you get a little bit of an idea of the features of these sorry, give me one moment. Oh, yeah, we still got a few penguins on screen. You get an idea of the features of these penguins. These are the little penguins. That is their name. Little by name, little by nature. They are the smallest species of penguins in the world. They are about 33 centimetres tall, so about as long as a ruler, and they are about 1 kilo in weight. And they've got blue feathers. They are the only penguins that have blue and white feathers. Other penguins have black and white feathers, sometimes a bit of yellow, but ours are blue and white. Now they're white on their bellies, because when they're swimming in the ocean, well, let's do it this way. Think about when you've been in a pool. When you're in a pool and you swim down to the bottom of a pool, if you look up to the surface, it's quite light, isn't it? It's quite bright. And these penguins have a white belly because they want to blend in with the surface of the ocean. Their feathers or their colouring, it's called counter shading, and it works so that if anything is swimming below them that might like to eat them and is looking up, they are hoping that their white bellies will blend in with the sky and the light behind them and that they won't get eaten. A few more penguins just arriving, getting washed up, battling the waves there. Oh, yep, here we go. Oh, yes, a big raft is just arriving now. Fantastic. So that's why they've got the white bellies, to keep them camouflaged from things that are swimming below that would like to eat them. So that could be things like a long-nosed fur seal that might like to eat a penguin while it's in the water. But then they're blue on the top, and they're blue on the top because if there's any birds circling above, looking downwards, they need to blend in with the surface of the ocean. So the blue from above blends in, the white from below blends in, and hopefully they stay safe from predators. Hopefully it tricks the predators into thinking that they are not there. Hopefully it works as camouflage, great word there, camouflage, and so that they don't get eaten. And things they might be worried about eating them are predatory birds and birds of prey. And as I said, the seals in the water as well. So on other nights, when the tide is very low, they have to make what we call a dangerous dash across the beach, and their blue feathers stand out against the golden sand that we've got here on Phillip Island. And so they're really not camouflaged. That is really the one part of the day where they're visible because it's lightish, and they do not camouflage against their background. And so that's why they wait until it is just after sunset to make that dash across the beach. But yep, tonight there is no beach to dash across. They are literally getting swept up onto the rocks. So they really like a night like tonight. It feels like it's a safe night for them to get home. They're not too worried about getting eaten. Not very good opportunities for these predators.
We do have lots of good questions coming through. Thank you so much for putting them in the comments. We had one from Samara, who is curious as to how long do penguins sleep? And penguins are a bit interesting. They don't sleep all night long. They don't sleep in the daytime either. They're not nocturnal or they're not diurnal. They're awake both the day and the night, and they have very short sleeps. Each penguin's sleep is about 4 minutes long. And they'll sleep both day and night. It doesn't matter to them. They'll even sleep out on the ocean. So, yeah, if you see a penguin that's standing very still for a few minutes on the stream tonight, don't think it's lost or it's just bored. It might actually have fallen asleep on its journey home.
Oh, that's so cute. I can sympathise with that. Sometimes I'm so tired that I feel like stopping and having a sleep exactly where I stand as well. Let's head back to the, oh, yep. So we'll head back and see what's happening over at the rocks now. Oh, yes, there we are. I'm going to zoom out so we can catch any more penguins arriving. Oh, yep, and literally as I said it, here they come. Oh, God, the poor little things. Can you see them getting bashed against the rocks? Yeah, big swell tonight. But you know what? They're really hardy little things. They're built to survive getting washed against some rocks. Even though they're small, they'll be all right. But as a human, it looks very uncomfortable because I know if we were getting smashed against those rocks, we would not be very happy about it, would we? But no, they're used to it. They're used to all the difficulties of the ocean. So a few little rafts coming in at the moment. As it looks like perhaps the rain might be starting again. Can you see the rain in the camera there? Yep, so you should feel pleased sitting at home. I'm glad to be inside tonight, I'll tell you what. And you know what? There was a chance that we might not be able to watch these penguins tonight or any night. And that is because there was a point in time where these penguins were in danger. In the mid-80s, we unfortunately got ourselves in a position where the penguin numbers were dropping. And it was thought that if the penguin numbers continued dropping at the rate at which they were dropping, by about the turn of the millennium, about the year 2000 or so, that we would have no penguins left here on Phillip Island. And one of our researchers is a very inspiring man. His name's Peter Dan. He said, right, this is not good enough. We've got to make some changes. We've got to see what can be done about this. And at that time, the Summerland Peninsula, where these penguins live, had houses. It had a golf course. It had hotels. It had some shops. It was a place that was busy, full of people. It had roads that you could drive through in the evening when the penguins were coming home. And so what happened next was he took a study to the government. And what happened next was a very rare thing that hasn't happened in history many times. Oh, sorry, let's just look at this penguin jumping along. It's very cute. Oh, that one's just run up behind it. It looks like it's pecked it in the bottom. What are you doing? Leave it alone. Oh, you've distracted me, little penguins. What was I talking about? So they, where was I up to? Do you remember what I was up to in the story? Oh, took it to the government. That's what we were talking about. So they took a study to the government. They said, we don't want to lose these penguins. We want to make sure that we have penguins here on the Summerland Peninsula for years to come. And something really incredible happened. There was a buyback scheme of the land of these penguins. And we think it was the biggest buyback for an environmental reason in the history of the world. So all of the buildings that were on the Summerland Peninsula in the area where these penguins were living got bought back and was given back to the penguins. So now in the Summerland Peninsula, there are no structures left. It is just wild colony for penguins. We've replanted it so that it's got plants that penguins would like. And since then, we have seen the numbers grow and grow and grow. And we now have 32,000 little penguins. Remember, it did get down to about 12,000 penguins. And it could have got to 0 if we hadn't intervened. So this is some of the great work that Phillip Island Nature Parks is doing, and some of the work that you can contribute to by donating to the Penguin Foundation or even adopting a penguin, which will help us protect the habitat of the penguins for years to come. And do keep in mind that here in Australia, it is Father's Day coming up soon. So if you're struggling to think of a present for Dad, you know what? A penguin could be a really great present. You could adopt a penguin on behalf of your dad. Also, there's birthdays, I'm sure, coming up. Not sure what to get them. The mail's going too slow for you, perhaps in isolation. Adopt a penguin. And the environment will thank you, and the penguins will thank you as well. All right, a few little penguins are turning up here.
So we got another question. This one's from Luke from Borough, who's been dying to know how fast do penguins swim. And penguins, they swim about 6 or 7 kilometers an hour in the ocean at their top speed. If they're just cruising along nice and slowly, like you've been seeing them swimming across the pond there, it's about 2 to 4 kilometers an hour at just a cruising speed. And while they're swimming, they are very good at sleeping on the ocean because penguins just float on top of the water while they're out on the ocean. They've got these nice dense feathers that keep the water off their skin and makes a nice air bubble around their bodies, helps them to float onto the water. And they're such good swimmers that they can dive up to about 70 meters underwater. And when they go that far down, they need to hold their breath for well over a minute, almost 2 minutes, to be able to dive that far down and back up again.
Thanks so much for that question, Luke from Bundoora, and thank you so much for tuning in. And you know, the deepest I've ever dived is about 40 meters. So 70 meters just sounds incredible, scary almost. Good on them, little penguins. More impressive than me. So I've got some more little penguins coming along this penguin highway here. and they're on their way back to their burrows. So they've been out all day looking for food. But it's nighttime. It's time to head back to their burrows because, well, there's all sorts of reasons they might be heading back to their burrows. Oh, we've got some more penguins just arrived. Oh, yep. Oh, a big raft, everybody. Look at that. So we're looking for those white bodies standing out against these dark rocks. And yep, we have had a big raft just arriving here now. Now do keep in mind that these penguins are being counted by our penguin counter. Our penguin counter tonight, lovely lady called Ebony. And it is a really tough job for the penguin counter tonight. I told you it's very high tide tonight. They are arriving directly onto the rocks tonight. Usually, if it's a long tide, if it's a low tide, the penguins have a long way to travel, and that gives the penguin counter a little bit more time to furiously count up every penguin that arrives, whereas Ebony tonight is getting no time to try and count these penguins before they're gone off the rocks and on their way home. So it's going to be a really challenging night for her tonight. I think she's also got Linda out there tonight helping as well.
That's correct. Linda's out there giving her a helping hand, making sure she gets all the penguins.
Yeah, and for poor Linda tonight, so Ebony's role is to sit inside a room that I might show you a little bit later and look across 4 different penguin pathways. Linda's job tonight is to be standing out on the stands, looking eastward to this last sort of penguin pathway that's a bit further out. So she's out there in the woolly weather tonight, the poor thing. So send your love to Linda.
Yeah, and we had a few questions. How many penguins did we have last night? We had 602 penguins crossing the beach last night. So leave a comment thinking, do you think there's more tonight or less tonight?
And also, while we're talking about leaving comments, we would love to know where you are tuning in from, because over the last 2 nights, we have had over 1 million people tuning in. It has been such a success for us. We are so, so pleased about how it is going, everybody. But we want to know where you're all tuning in from. So put in the comments where you're watching from tonight. We would love to know. And perhaps you would like to have a look in the comments as well and see who else. Oh, we've got a rabbit. See who else is watching and where they're watching from. Imagine what it's like where they are watching from. Now, there's 2 rabbits in the path, and the penguins are chasing them down. Yep, no, the rabbits are no match for a group of penguins waddling past. Let's see if I can get to these ones on the camera fast enough. Oh, yep. Big waddle of penguins coming through. So we affectionately call a group of penguins that are walking on land or waddling on land a waddle of penguins. That is their collective noun. When they're swimming in the water, we call them a raft of penguins. And another little waddle of penguins is coming by now. So in the picture that you can see now on the left-hand side, you can see a glass window. And in nicer times when you could be here, you could be standing up against that glass window looking directly out onto these penguins. These penguins could be right in front of your face as they waddle past. That's called the Underground, and it is a ticket that you can buy when we're open again, when we can have you back. And we can't wait to see you. We absolutely can't wait to see you back on our stands in the Underground. We can't wait to talk to you. We can't wait to waddle with you. We can't wait for you to hear the hucking live for yourself. So we encourage you, when it is safe to travel again, do come down and visit us. All right. So we've got, full of penguins.
Questions on here. Sorry, Sky.
No, good.
Last question I got that I thought was interesting, I saw quite a few times, is how many penguins are in each raft? And the honest answer to that one is it completely changes. We have no idea how many are in each raft until they land on the shore and we start counting them. You could have a raft as small as just a few penguins and a raft of almost 1,000 penguins swimming out there. So the numbers do vary in size depending on how many penguins are coming home tonight.
And what's interesting about the rafts as well is that it's not the same penguins every night. It's not that they, because I told you that they meet out in the water, they make that hucking noise to find each other. and then they swim in together. But they're not finding particular friends. They're not waiting till their brother or sister or mum or dad or husband or wife turns up and then they swim in together. No, it's more like a train, like waiting at a train station. Whoever wants to go to the same place at the same time, well, they'll swim in with them. So they sort of catch their rafts are like a train that they catch home, and it could be with any different stranger at any different time. Whoever wants to go, they'll swim in with. And so that's why we get really variable numbers in the raft. Sometimes big, sometimes small. It's whoever's ready to go at the same time.
Now we do just have 5 minutes left in the stream, so we'll be winding this up very soon. Hopefully we see a few more penguins that are crossing the beach, but feel free to leave any more comments you have. We'll do our best to get to them, and if we don't, tune in tomorrow night again. We will be doing this for quite a few nights now, until the foreseeable future.
And I'm very excited to tell you that tomorrow, sitting in this seat, talking all things penguin to you, will be everyone's favourite, Stephen. So Stephen's going to be sitting in this chair tomorrow, and we'll have a different ranger. Her name's T. She's going to be the one answering your questions tomorrow night. I've had a great time doing it for the last 3 nights, but it's definitely somebody else's turn tomorrow. And Stephen's going to be with you over the whole weekend. So make sure you show him some love and tune in again tomorrow. He's full of great information. He's got lots of fun stories lined up for you. But I'll be seeing you again in a week or 2. I'll be back. So still a steady stream of penguins turning up for us. Still waddling along. And yep, they might be heading back to their burrows, back to their partners. And one thing I haven't actually talked, you're moving too fast for me to catch up. Where are you? Yep, there we go. We've got some penguins now. One thing I haven't talked about too much yet is penguin love affairs. So penguins some people think that penguins mate for life, and these little penguins, well, they mate for life, but not with the same partner. They'll mate their whole life, but they may change partners throughout their life. We call them, what do we say, socially monogamous. So they'll have a partner that they return back to night after night, but they are sexually promiscuous, which means that on the way back to the burrow, they may stop and visit some of their lovers, and there might be a bit of shenanigans on the way back to the burrow. And you know the saying, what happens on the way back to the burrow stays on the way back to the burrow. So they're not as monogamous as you might think, as the movies might suggest. Our little penguins, no, a little bit promiscuous. There's I've had suggestions that penguin manor. You remember, meerkat manor? We should do penguin manor to capture some of the love affairs, some of the comings and the goings between our penguins. Bit of racy news for your Thursday night there. Oh, and rabbit there as well. Let's, while we go along, I'll just show you a burrow. This is one of our artificial burrows. So the penguins do build burrows themselves, but we put in some artificial burrows around the place. Oh, there's some penguins walking past them as well. We put artificial burrows in so that they can move straight in. Of course, building a burrow, digging a burrow does take some time and a lot of effort, and they really do tend to quite like our artificial burrows. So we have put them in just to make it easier for them to move in quite quickly. Because we want to support the little penguins to live their best life here in Phillip Island. Well, the rain is making it hard for us to see them. Yet we've got a few more coming. Oh, and I'm going to switch cameras and have a look at these guys walking past.
We do have quite a few people who are curious as to how many penguins live in a burrow, and it would be a male, and his job is to try and attract a wife into his burrow, a female to join him in his burrow. And when they have babies, they're going to be having eggs, and they always have 2 eggs. So we might see maybe 4 penguins in a single burrow if they're in the middle of the breeding season.
Great questions, everybody. it is getting about time for us to wind up now. So I hope you have enjoyed our penguin live stream tonight. Remember that if you'd like to support the work that we do here, do jump to our Penguin Foundation. The link is in the description. Adopt a penguin, support us so that we can continue to deliver these live streams. Is there anything else we need to mention, Stephen?
No, we're just hoping we can all see you again once everything opens back up and you can come visit our penguins, our koalas, Churchill Island. We'd love to see your smiling faces again.
And I know Stephen would definitely like to see your smiling faces and your supportive comments tomorrow. He's going to do a fantastic job. So look, thank you so much for tuning in tonight, everybody. It has been an absolute blast. As I usually say, the penguins are heading home, so we're going to head home too. It has been fun. I'll see you again in a few weeks. Thank you so much for giving me such an exciting few days, everybody. And we'll see you later.
Good night.
Good night.